talk to nurses around the world every week who tell me about how they see the impact of climate change on the health of people that they care for every single day in their practice. There are 45 million plus healthcare professionals who are witnesses to the health emergency that is unfolding in plain sight. Their voice must be heard and acted on. They see and work with young people struggling and old people struggling with respiratory disorders caused or exacerbated by poor air quality and pollution, people who can't go out, who are struggling with their tasks of daily living, who are losing function and whose independence is undermined. They support people who are not coping with extreme temperature changes, from heat stroke and exhaustion to hypothermia. And many of these people are most vulnerable with underlying conditions such as cardiovascular disease, which is made worse. And they see and experience extreme events and disasters like flooding and forest fires, which result in the spread of infectious diseases, including vector-borne diseases, the contamination of food and water that people can't avoid. And they see that the impact is not just on people's physical health, but on their mental health. Depression, anxiety, grief, isolation, symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Climate change is stealing the hopes and dreams of people that people have for the future. Healthcare professionals also see the disproportionate impact on the most vulnerable in our societies, the poor, the marginalised, the displaced. Health justice is an expression of our humanity one to another, as well as being building stones on which safe and cohesive societies are made. And it is for all of these reasons why 45 million healthcare professionals are not prepared to be silent witnesses and proudly support and have signed the joint letter to 197 global leaders and the call now being the time for climate action. Healthcare professionals also make the case for action because it is good not just for planetary health, but is good for our public health. The planet has become the patient, and like people, we need to focus on prevention. There's a virtuous circle between what we do for the public's and individuals' health and for planetary health. And also, as my colleagues have pointed out, healthcare professionals don't think that enough attention has been made to the economic case. The increased severity in health conditions, the increased frequency of deterioration in people's health, resulting in increased admissions and healthcare interventions. These are all things which have costs on our healthcare system and result in the loss of productivity to our economies. Investment in climate action on health is a best buy, and we need to much more seriously add health into the cost assessments of climate change. Healthcare professionals have, of course, been at the forefront of responding to COVID. They've seen up close, and often far too personally, the impact of a lack of preparedness of our health systems on their health as well as on patients. And it is why they have seen how investing in health rapidly also impacts on our whole way of life. Healthcare professionals have said to me, if you think COVID is bad, when it comes to climate change, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's the grandmother of all health threats. COVID and climate change are compounding each other, and they're adding pressures on already weak health systems and staff. And it's why business as usual is not an option. And it's why now we need to truly have health at the centre of all our policies: energy, transport, agriculture, water and food. And the final thought, I think that we are missing a trick, and it's something that my colleagues have alluded to already. Nurses and healthcare professionals live these problems. They walk beside those people most affected. They are the eyes and ears on the ground. That means that they understand the problems, but also what the solutions are, and they are trusted by the public. Leaders should stop overlooking them when it comes to policy advice. If you are not including healthcare professionals in your advice, then you are flying blind. Healthcare professionals will have strong representation at COP26, and we call on governments to replicate that in all of their national level policy decision making. Thank you.
Thank you also.